So, today's my birthday. Or, well, tomorrow is, I'm recording this the day before. A little under a week ago, I asked you guys to send me some questions for me to answer, and here we are. I haven't looked at them yet or anything, and to show you guys that these are my first reactions to everything, I'm going to be showing you my entire screen as we scroll through these all together. If you happen to miss my community post about this, or are new to the channel though, if you ever want to ask me anything yourself, you can always feel free to join my Discord and ask me a question there, or just drop your question in the comments section down below, and I'll be glad to answer. But yeah, let's just get into it. Yeah, already I could see that I'm probably gonna have to skip a couple of these. How hard can you hit the nay-nay? Not sure how I can answer that. 134 says, what are you planning to do with your channel long term? Any specific ideas or routes you'll take? And obviously, opinions on Hollyleaf? I love Hollyleaf. I don't think she's necessarily a very strongly written character, but her interpretation in the fandom, as well as, you know, what the character just kind of stands for on her own, I really like. And I've said this on Twitter before, but if there were ever a character that they write a Star Clan Super Edition from the perspective of, I would want it to be her. For my channel, I honestly don't really know, to be honest. Most people will tell you that they have this huge, elaborate plan, but with me, I kind of just, you know, write down the ideas that I want to make videos about and post stuff on Twitter. There isn't really that much else to it. And I enjoy that simplicity in the process because it really helps me explore my creativity more whenever it comes to the actual content creation side of things. So I'm sorry if that wasn't the exact answer that you were looking for, but that's just how I feel about it. Toaster asks, what kind of music do you like? What's your favorite Pokemon? I don't really listen to much music that often anymore, and I know that sounds weird because I know that there are people out there that like can't live or function without music, but I grew up playing a instrument on my own, and the only time that I really find music necessary to me, I guess, is when I need it for study or just to chill out too. So I'm kind of more inclined towards lo-fi hip-hop and, well, obviously classical music, given my background as a violinist of 7 years, by the way, which I don't think I've said on video before. But yeah, I like lo-fi hip-hop and classical music, and if I'm not listening to those things, I have some kind of song in my head that I'm either playing on my violin or, you know, just humming the tune too. Thoughts on cheese? Overrated. How did you get into Warrior Cats? My memory's a bit fuzzy on it, but I think I started in around the 4th or 5th grade, and I don't remember how exactly I got into them, but I've always been a really huge cat person, so I think what happened was I was just looking for books in the library, and I saw, you know, these funny little cat books that caught my eye, and it really didn't go much farther than that. Angie asks, what inspired you to start a Warriors channel right now when Warriors hype already died out a few years ago? What did you hope to bring to the pool of Warriors content? I just like making videos. And I wanted to have a place where I talk about the books with more people outside of, you know, a couple friends. And I thought YouTube was a good outlet for that because I, you know, growing up as a kid with technology all surrounding me, being a YouTuber is like the #1 job that everyone really wants to have. And I was one of those kids. And though it's kind of humbling to look back on that now, I'm glad that I decided to make that first video. And that's the reason why it's still up on my channel to this day, despite being completely horrible, because we all got to start somewhere, you know, and if you really want to do something, just go out and do it. I take pride in helping people learn things, and the main goal of my content has always been to start a discussion or keep that discussion going. But ultimately, at the end of the day, I just want to make videos that I'm proud of and that I have fun making. Do you even lift? Surprisingly, yeah, but I've kind of been lacking on it these past couple of months. Oh god, it's been months. I have picked up some casual yoga and jogging in its place though, and running has always been a thing that I like, so I think I'm just gonna keep doing that. You've been tasked with developing the next Warriors series after A Starless Clan. When does it take place? Who are your ideal protagonists? How many point of views from which clans or groups, and what's the general plot? Also, number of books for this new arc? Well, I'm a simple man, so I think we're just gonna stick to 6, because even though Warriors kinda fails that whole standard that they set for themselves with that, with sometimes rushed plots or choppy narratives, I think that's still something that I'll stick to. In the past, I would have said 1 or maybe 2 POVs, but with how well the transitions between chapters have been taking place in A Starless Clan in particular, I would be fine with anywhere from 1 to 3. And I'd like to finally see some main arc Win Clan representation. I don't know if there's anyone in particular that I'd really like to read from though, because with the newer arcs, Warriors has kind of had a habit of just picking random people or people that are related to other protagonists that are kind of faceless anyway, but I don't really care who they are so long as they're well written and well developed. As for the plot, I feel like Warriors is at its best when it's just drama and politics, so I kind of want to see something similar in vein to what's going on in A Starless Clan right now, just minus the stupid romance stuff and all that. I'd also love to see a time skip into the future so that we could finally be without 50 cats in ThunderClan that 90% of them we have no idea who they are or even know their names. And I'd love to see the clans have that kind of familiarity like they had in the first arc, or like with modern Sky Clan, where we kind of know everybody in the clan and each of those individual members has a fully fleshed out personality even if they're a background character. I'm a big advocate of stuff like that, and yeah, that's what I'd like to see. Cynical Yeen asks, since you like Deltarune / Undertale, who are your favorite characters from the game? Without a doubt, I'd have to say that Susie is my favorite character from Deltarune, but Ralsei is a very close second. And as for Undertale, I'd have to say Asgore. This doesn't really have much to do with this character, but his theme, especially whenever it gets to the piano part, always sends chills down my spine. And I just love that familial dad vibe that he gives off, even despite only being a character at the end of the game. I love pretty much all of them equally though. Zelda asks, you probably have already answered this before somewhere, but how did you come up with Hawkleaf's name / design? What's your favorite video game? Hawkleaf, if you guys didn't know, is the name of the mascot of this channel, and he's the funny little guy that you see plastered over all of my stuff, and he was even in the thumbnail of this video, drawn by my channel artist, Otto. His name comes from that old Warrior Cats name picker where you, like, take the first letter of your name and the month you were born and put them together, and I got Hawkleaf. The design itself, though, was inspired off of the Warrior Cats mini maker. I did a video about that a while ago, and Otto, being one of my top commenters on all of my videos and has supported me since I really started making videos seriously, decided to come up with a design off of that and gave me my first bit of fan art. And since then, he decided to tweak the design and reach out to me about the idea of making me sprites for my channel. So he came up with the design that you guys see now, and I commissioned him for his work. And Hawkleaf will remain the face of my channel, all thanks to him. So thank you again, Otto. My favorite video game is Terraria. I have an absurd amount of hours in it because I used to play it a lot whenever I was a kid. But now, for me, it's kind of just turned into this thing that I only play with close friends and family. And I could probably tell you anything about the game, to be honest. Much in the same with Warriors, it was another one of my obsessions. But I'm also a huge fan of indie darlings like Hollow Knight and Omori, so it's kind of a toss-up, really, between which. It's kind of hard to say that you like one thing more than the other when you love them all. What is your biggest goal as a content creator? Keep making videos, have fun, and make friends. That's what I value the most. Cheetah Z, who you might know as Cheetah Z, the Warrior Cats animator, says, why? Wow, what a good question. To be honest, I don't know. Louis, or Louise, asks, sorry, I don't know which pronunciation it is. What arc is best arc? Best moment in said arc? What is your favorite obscure Warriors character? My favorite obscure Warriors character would definitely have to be Rocky from Mothlight's Vision, which I'm sure, like, basically nobody who's watching this has ever really read. But he's kind of just this old guy in ancient Wind Clan that, like, gets addicted to catnip and spends half the book tripping out of his mind. Yeah, I love him. I don't really have a favorite arc, but I do think that the most strongly written and consistent out of the 8 that we have now is still the first one. And I wouldn't really call this the best moment in the arc, but the most memorable scene that's really stuck with me and that I still think about would have to be Snow Kit's death. It was incredibly sad, and I remember bawling my eyes out the first time that I read it. But having that kind of emotional investment is really what got me to keep reading the series, and is a huge part of why I'm still around talking about it and making videos to this day. Otto, my channel sprite artist, says, did you ever anticipate taking this route in life? As in, did you ever think you'd end up becoming a Warrior Cats content creator when you were younger? Not necessarily a Warrior Cats content creator, but like I said earlier, I've always wanted to do YouTube as a job, or, you know, a side hustle or anything, because I kind of just like making videos. But Warriors in particular wasn't something that I really considered until I wanted to start being more vocal with my opinions and really contribute to that discussion critically. And I'm glad I started doing it. I notice you've done some voiceover stuff for the community. So if the Warriors movie were to ever happen and you were given the opportunity to voice any character you wanted, no matter what arc, who would you choose and why? J-Feather. Yep, J-Feather. I don't even need to think about it. J-Feather is my favorite character, and, you know, he's just such a snarky little jerk that you can't help but love him. I definitely can't answer this one. Rio Blitzel asks, what sort of music do you listen to? Any recommendations? If you could rewrite the books to appoint any character as leader, either a missed opportunity in the past or an immediate replacement for a current leader in this arc, would you? And if so, who would you choose? Recently, I've been listening to this one track from Hollow Knight, which I think is an exclusive release to one of the albums. I'll put it up on screen now, and I'll leave a link to it in the description, but it's a orchestral rendition of one of the soundtracks from the game White Palace. I would really like to see Squirrelflight finally become leader, and I think it's kind of dumb that she hasn't been leader already. I don't know, I really like Squirrelflight, and I think she should finally be left to her own machinations on how to run the clan for herself. You can only wear one color for the rest of your life. Everything you put on is turned that color. Your shirt, your shoes, your hair, your nails, everything. What color would you pick for you, and what color would you pick for your worst enemy? Red, without a doubt for me. Red I love red. Red, especially pinkish red, is like my favorite color of all time. And for my worst enemy, probably yellow brown, or whatever that weird baby puke color is. Amelia asks, what are your opinions on Mudclaw? Do you think what he did was within reason, or is he guilty without question? I don't really have any strong feelings about Mudclaw, but I think that Winds of Change is a pretty strong graphic novel, and if you haven't read it for yourself, I highly recommend you give it a read. Whether or not he was necessarily right or wrong, I don't think is really the point of the character, and the fun in him comes from having to reach that decision by yourself. But I don't really feel too strongly either way. I just think his book is pretty good. If any cat in the Warrior Cat series could be your pet, who would you choose? Alderheart, such a sweetheart. Thoughts on Leafpool? Have you ever tried drawing an OC if you have any? Leafpool is one of those characters that I don't really remember all that much about, but for what it was worth, I really enjoyed her relationship with Squirrelflight and Mothwing, though I'm sure I'd have more about her to say had I read about her recently. I don't really have any original characters, but I used to draw a fair bit in school, but most of my study was on anatomy and form rather than illustration, so I never really got to explore any of that as a kid, but computer graphics and design was honestly something that I was more interested in, which was a big part in becoming a YouTuber for me. What do you use to edit your videos? I use the free version of DaVinci Resolve to edit the actual videos, and my thumbnail work and some of the graphics that I use in my videos all come from Photoshop. But yeah, everything you see in my videos comes from one of those two programs. Floof says, happy birthday! Were there any Warriors scenes that were really emotionally compelling to you? If so, which ones? I think that would have to be Honeyfern's death, or Honeyfern. I forget what the exact name of the character is because they decided to name a character after her and then give her the same suffix. Honeyfern's death to me was just so visceral and in the moment that I really cried about it, and it's not really much of a death, or well, an important one at that. Sorry, Honeyfern fans. But even though she was just a background character, it's moments like that in Warriors that I really reflect upon the most. Schaeferhund says, your videos and thumbnails are visually snappy and eye-catching. What audio/video software and plugins, if any, do you use to make your content? What's your favorite trading card from the Chinese edition of Warriors? As I said before, primarily I use DaVinci Resolve, but as for the audio side, I use OBS, and the only plugin that I have for it is a thing that lets you split your application audio and put them into separate audio channels for me to edit. I'm not really that familiar with the trading cards from the Chinese edition of Warriors, but I think my favorite is the one for Squirrelflight? Not sure though. What's your favorite in-book ship? I don't really like the romance in Warriors all too much, but I like Turtletail and Greywing after they start raising her kits together. Jong asks, what's some other stuff you like apart from Warriors? Well, in terms of books, I'm really big on classics, which I know as itself is a really broad category, but if I had to name a few books, it'd have to be Frankenstein by Mary Shelley, 1984, and Things Fall Apart, with Frankenstein being my favorite out of those three. But other than that, I'm pretty big on shows like The Boys and Breaking Bad, and my favorite manga/anime is One Piece, though I really haven't had much time to really catch up on it all that much too recently. What is your favorite Warriors graphic novel? Yeah, without a doubt, it'd have to be a Shadow and River clan, but I'm also a big fan of all of Ravenpaw's stuff. Lazzy asks, do you watch/enjoy Warriors maps, multi-animator projects? If so, which one is your favorite? Well, to answer your question, yes, I do. I don't really like to pick favorites whenever it comes to maps because almost all of them have a lot of hard work and very many talented people behind them. But if I had to share some of my favorites, those would have to be Serpent Soul and The Ghost by Northflower. But yeah, guys, that looks like it brings us to the end of our questions here. If you didn't see your questions answered in this video, I either already answered them in somebody else's, or the questions that you asked me were obviously just jokes. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. I gotta get to editing this video because I think it is actually now my birthday. Now, I'm just now finishing up recording this, and it's midnight, and my birthday now, so I guess it is a birthday Q&A after all. So, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you all next time. Later.